Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live with our host, Ned Dennison.
Hello, everyone. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We have one of our honorees with us today, the famous swimmer from Egypt, Dr. Osama Momtaz. Say hello, Osama.
Hello, everybody.
Osama, tell us a little bit about your swimming before you became a marathon swimmer.
Well, I really started swimming following an accident. My father took me and my sister in a summer vacation, and I was about to drown in the water. So he decided he has to teach me how to swim. So he took me when I was probably 11, 12 years old to YMCA here in Cairo, in Gezira. And he insisted that I learn how to swim. Then I was picked up with a coach, a very fantastic coach, Coach Abdel Fattah, Ahmed Fattah. Is one of the elite coach in Egypt. He was the head coach of the national club in Egypt. And he saw that I could be somebody in swimming. I was trained with I was so lucky because that time I started, it was in the early 70s. And in the early 70s, Egypt was in the top of marathon swimming, of a lot of swimming. It was the excellent swimmers that later on made history and actually entered the Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame and had a lot of achievements in swimming. I was just an ordinary guy who was trying to watch the big guys and try to catch up always. I was not that kind of swimmer to win a competition. I was just struggling to be on the top 10 or something. Then after that, I swam very much tough events, 100 to 100 fly in the short, in swimming pools. And also remember that in the 70s in Egypt, we didn't have a warm swimming pools. We have an open door, one closed swimming pool, and that's for 3 months only in the summer. So we had to swim in the Nile in the winter or go to Alexandria to swim. That was later on. So in my teenage, I swam in YMCA. I swam 1 year in National Club, Ahli Club. And then I went to the Zamalek Club. My father was vice chair for the Zamalek Club. And in the Zamalek Club board, he was a friend of the chair. And he said, you have to come to swim for Zamalek Club. I swam for Zamalek Club. Short distance, I swam from 50 to 1500, 100 fly, all the events pretty much. I was not like on the top ranked swimmer, maybe in top 3 or something. I was not really that kind of elite swimmer that you can point out. I was just wanted to be a good swimmer and swim. Then coach there saw that I'm kind of a big guy for my age and a kind of strong guy by nature. And they tried to push me to swim in open water. The first junior national championship, I think I swam was 1975. It was under 16 and it was 15K, first time ever in my life to jump in the sea. And this is gonna be, you're gonna find this to be a trend in my swimming life. Just like every time, first time in the sea, every time, first time to go and stuff like that. And I really perform. I perform with no fear, with eagerness to try to achieve something. And I felt like, this is my kind of sport. I tried to focus more. I got on the top 3 in the national junior. I think I was second or something. And then after that, I went to the 20K. That was a 15K. Then the following year, 20K. I was first in the 20K. It was in the Nile. And then after that, I went to the Suez Canal Nationals. And then I started to be competing on the top rank. Open water swimming, I had my mentor. My mentor first was in sport was my father. And then in open water swimming is Abdul Latif Abu Haif. He was my mentor. A good friend of Captain Abdul Latif Abu Haif was Captain Nabil Shazli. And Captain Nabil Shazli was so humble and always was so considerate and loving, and considered me one of his sons. He has 3 sons, and the 3 sons was a competitor and in open water swimming, and the 3 of them was really spectacular at that time. He also has a vision. So he saw, for example, Nasser is an outstanding in a very young age, and he didn't go through the youth 15K or 20K. He jumped on the 30K elite as an amateur at the beginning, and the professional right away, because Captain Nabil Shazli looked at that side. For me, I wanted to swim with these guys, with Captain Nabil Shazli. He has like 25 swimmers in Alexandria. And I get used to go from Cairo. I was the only swimmer from Cairo going to swim Alexandria Tuesday and Friday morning with these guys. Of course, this is the time with marathon swimming was on the top. Captain Nabil Shazli, after his legendary era, with and following Captain Abu Haif, there was Marwan Ghazawi, there was Magdi Mandoor, who was one of the candidates that I saw in his list. He was one of the legendary, I think, legendary marathon swimmer, professional that time. And just for me, seeing these swimmers, it was, I started to love the sport. I just said, this is the things I want to do, and I'm going to be one of these guys. That era, we had Egyptian Long Distance Swimming Federation. It was a separate federation. There was an amateur and a professional. There was a professional circuit, and there was it was a completely I think it was the golden era of the long distance swimming. This federation, I think I started my stars to go up with. The chairman was Salah al-Shahid, and also the secretary was Captain Fattah Shafsha, and the secretary was Captain Abdul Menem Abdu. I have to, and the director, which is the technical director or the head coach of the national team that time, was Captain Nabil Shazli. So that was, I think, the golden era. We had like 5-6 marathons. We can call them a world-class marathon that time. And these guys get used to tour the world. Not only in Egypt. Egypt, the marathons was a period always from September, October, that time where everybody else is cold weather, it's perfect weather. Then they go to Argentina in January, February. Then they go in the summer to Capri, Napoli. Then they go after that to Canada, and that was the circuit. I mean, and that was my wish to go there, and I kept after my wish till I was lucky enough to achieve it, but in different stages in my life.
What was your first international trip, Osama?
Well, my first international trip, I think I had so many in consecutive years from the mid 70s. We get to use in Italy. There was a lot of small swims like San Marco, Venezia, and the 15K, and also there was also Bakuli, and there was in Turkey, there is in Girna, there was a marathon, and there was so many. And also one of my highlight swims was 79 in Windermere. I think that was it was first time for me ever to go to England, and first time for me to see how cold the water could be.
Was this Windermere?
Yes, that's
79?
Windermere. Yeah, that's 79 Windermere, and I think I was on the amateur level. It was an amateur marathon. I was like fourth or something, and but I did a very good one. I did a very good swim, and actually I remember who was on my boat. If you there was I don't know if you remember. He's also one of the recognized marathon swimmer, David Morgan. He was the youngest. Yeah, he was on my boat. He was the actually guy who rowed for me to swim Windermere in 79. And that guy who is the youngest in history to do the channel, it was just such, and just seeing how prestigious and how we were really, I can't forget how we were treated, and how also the organization of Windermere, it was really a royal organization, I think. And it was really something made a big mark in my head. After that, I went back to Egypt and I swam some nationals, and I went to other competitions, so many international competitions in Italy, in Turkey also, and in Egypt. We had like 5-6 international marathons with between 36K till 40K, and so I was not lucky enough to be a winner. So I was always happy to finish, to perform, to be on the top 3 to 4 amateur, and that was for me a big satisfaction. Till 1980, it was 1982. 1982, the Egyptian Marathon Swimming Federation decided that it is the time to have a trial for the two-way non-stop English channel. Of course, replying to your question, English for me, I never had been in England, in Folkestone. I never had been crossing one way. I just wanted, I swam Windermere, and I was looking for an achievement.
Why did they pick you? They had all of these great international swimmers, and they reached down and said, Osama, we want you to be the two-way. Now, is it because they were all too smart to do it? Did you have some special endurance? Why you?
Well, it's a story to tell, because you're absolutely right. I was not the guy. I wasn't. But it just can give you an idea how fair sport could be that time. It was really very competitive. So Egyptian Marathon Swimming Federation that time, with the head of Mr. Salah al-Shahid, decided to make trials. And regardless the names, whoever win the trials, win. It was a competition, not like trying to swim, but it was a competition. Everybody, more than 25 major professional, amateur, legendary marathon swimmers swam that trial. Nasser al-Shazli, Misiri, Marwan Ghazawi, Magdi Mandour, Osama Rashad, if you remember Osama Rashad. Everybody swam. I remember first trial was in Ismailia. It was 12 hours, and we started 2 a.m. I didn't sleep. 2 a.m. to swim till the next day, 2 p.m., 12 hours in February. And that lake, the water was something like 12, 13 degrees. It was really cold. And in our era, there was no wetsuits, no long suits, no nothing. Just put some Vaseline and jump in. And I remember on the start, and and seeing all these guys. And I just was determined to swim and finish.
You wanted
And
to be, you wanted to be a star at something.
I wanted to accomplish something. I wasn't the guy who actually, you know, when you are like a champion, like winning the #1 marathon swims, it's okay. You don't go here, you go here. If you're looking for the money, you get used to travel Lake St. John, Magog, Atlantic City to make money. But for me, I was an amateur swimmer. I was actually, my father just wanted me to swim and prove myself. Just try to feel that I am a good athlete. I tried to prove myself.
How many finished the 12 hours?
2.
Who was the other one?
Osama Rashad. So Osama Rashad first, and I finished second. And then we went to swim. Oh, there was before the 12 hours, there was 8 hours in Alexandria in the West Coast. And I was number 4. I was 4th there. And there was 2 others, 3 swimmers, Nasser Shazli and Mahmoud Nail, and I think Yassine, some other young swimmers. It was 8 hours. And Osama Rashad was back. He was very endured swimmers, but he was not as fast as we are that era. In the 12 hours, I think I got first and Osama Rashad second, or he's first and second. I can't recall, but we were picked up to do the 24 hours. And we did the 24 hours in Alexandria, 16 hours in Alexandria, and then 24 hours. The 16 hours, I remember that day, it was what we call, it was a high sea Nawa. It's a day that there was the big waves. The waves was above the shores, so we couldn't actually get in. And Captain Nabil Shazli insisted we have to get in, and we got in. And after like 3-4 hours, we had like 3-meter wave, and all the boats that we are rolling around were out, and we had to swim in the Westport till we finish. And all the swimmer, I think Nasser went out. He was one of the main contenders to do the double. And so the only 2 swimmers who stayed in was me again and Osama Rashad. And then we got the 24 hours. I swam the 24 hours 3 times to prove. So the federation picked 2 swimmers, myself and Osama Rashad. And they determined that the time, well, we have a genius the time in taking the time, which is engineer Fattah Shafsha. He was so smart guy. He was in communication with British Forecast and the English Channel Association, and he estimated that the time that we can do the double in the 2nd and 3rd week of July. So that time there was Lake St. John, Magog, and Atlantic City, and the 3rd week of July it was Atlantic City. So Osama Rashad say, I'm not going. I better go swim Atlantic City. So actually Osama Rashad was one of the guys with me that actually in the ministerial decree that to go to swim the 2-way non-stop, because they thought that I'm gonna go. I never went to the channel. A guy never jumped in, and the federation didn't want. They wanted somebody to trust in, and the Captain Osama Rashad, he was a guy who has a long history in Lake St. John, swimming in the cold water, and he was the guy appointed to be #1 to cross the 2-way non-stop. So what happened that Osama Rashad say, I'm going to Atlantic City. So now I was the only one go. So they say, okay, let's take that guy, and then we're gonna go for like as long as he can last and get out.
A little bit of pressure, on you.
Well, it was, I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, so many years later. It was just, I remember my father drive me to Cairo airport and telling me, Osama, you have a ticket coming back. So do the best you can. If you can't, it's okay. Come back.
And 50 people telling you the entire pride of the nation was watching you. You were representing Egypt and the Federation, and you'd been selected, and you better do this.
Actually, I don't think even the people in the boat thought that I'm gonna be doing it, because the people in the boat, they didn't have food for more than 6 hours, and it was only coffee and honey. Really, you're laughing, but I'm telling the truth. I mean, I think God played me, and I mean, give me a blessing, and I was so determined some way, somehow. I have to say that after 4 hours or 6 hours, there was nothing in the boat. And I swam on the first leg 10.5 hours. And when I got there, actually 10 hours, like 25 minutes. And then it took me almost 6 minutes, because I arrived on the rock, and the rock was so slippery, and I didn't know that I should get out. But I have a British referee, and they kept shouting, "Get out, get out." So I tried to climb the rock, and I got out, and I had to wave. And then after that, he said, "Come back." That took almost 6 minutes.
Come back sounds so easy.
Well,
you
can imagine from 6 hours till probably, I went 4.5 hours to get to Folkestone, and then to Calais. Then I turned it back another probably 4 or 5 hours. Then I felt so hungry, you cannot imagine. I didn't have anything to eat except coffee with honey. That's it. In the first 14, 15 hours. Then the pilot was with me. I think that the pilot was really, he saved me. I asked him, "Do you have anything?" He said, "I only have 2 sandwiches. 1 chicken sandwich and 1 jam sandwich." I said, "Can you give it to me for whatever?" So he gave me these 2 sandwiches like this. So I took these 2 sandwiches, and then he said, "You have to understand that the current will turn. And I can see Dover, I can see the light. It was dark. I can see the light there. But also I can see Shakespeare Cliff, very dark." He said, "If that cliff came to your right, you're going to go all the way back to Folkestone. You're not going to finish. You have to swim. So keep that cliff always on your left." I swam from the hour 15 against the current till I finished 21 hours. That's 6 hours, 90 strokes per minute. Till I put my hand, I found the rocks. Then I run on the rocks, on the stone, and all the way down, and there was a stairs, and I ran all the way down to the streets, shouting that I made it, I made it. So that's how it was. That's the reality. It was not a piece of cake.
And what was your reception when you got back in Egypt? Were you a star for a week, a month, a year?
Well, I was really that it was in 1984. In 1984, that's the Los Angeles Olympic year. And my trial was July 22nd, 23rd, something like that. And when I came back, there was the Olympic national team going to the Olympic. So I didn't get any kind of reception. because everybody's preparing for the Olympic. And Mr. Salah al-Shahid, there was the American channel, which is Catalina San Pedro. So he took me to swim Catalina San Pedro after the channel. So I went over there and I did a swim, and we have a team there, and I came back and everything disappeared, and that was it. And then after that, I traveled for my PhD in a month later to the US. Nobody actually said that. Nobody know how dramatic that was, and the dimension of this swim that time.
Every other Egyptian marathoner was a star in Egypt.
Yes, because we have too many stars. I was just a guy who was Yes,
did Nasser say to you, "I am jealous"? Did Nabil say, "I am proud"?
Actually, Captain Nabil Shazli, I am one of his sons. He always treated me as one of his sons. He always gave me the belief. I trained with him. He hosted me in his home. He always treated me as a son. I never felt that there was no, absolutely not. I believed always that there was always, everybody has something. Everybody is unique in something. And for me, it was so satisfactory for me. I knew who I am, and the channel was for me as a stamp that I am a marathon swimmer. It was, I recognized myself. I swam after that, so many swims. I swam after that so much. The rest of my life, I had been recognized. I had been recognized everywhere. Starting later, after I finished my PhD and I went back to Egypt in 1992, 93. I started to be recognized. And later on, the top of my recognition, I think it was from the present Egyptian Swimming Federation, that the chairman recognized my historic achievement. And I have to say something, the only guy who always talked about me everywhere, and you can check his videos on the YouTube, is Captain Abu Haif. Captain Abdul Latif Abu Haif went out. He was such a guy, so moral, so ethics, care about other athletes. It's not like he's a swimmer of the century for nothing. He was an icon, and he's still in my heart an icon. He never talked about himself, his achievement. He's one of the great. He always say, "Look at that guy. He did the two-way non-stop. I didn't." He always pointed up about my achievement. He went to the TV. He went to all the media. He whenever federation he goes to. In 2008, when he died, I got in the Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame, if you remember. And I think he had a lot to do with it. Also, Michael Reed had a lot to do with it. I was recognized internationally, and I tried to actually play my role as a marathon swimmer to help my fellow marathon swimmers. And for this point, I have to thank you, because the Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame and the archive for all this history and showing the world through these YouTube videos how important this, how you can actually find yourself in a sport, what is the love of the sport means. I mean, how you can swim against nature, how you can actually have mental determination to keep going, to achieve whatever you wanted to achieve. That's through your videos. I have been watching your video. I saw so many swimmers. Paul Asmus. I went to boat coaching Paul Asmus when he came to Cairo. I learned a lot. Also, Claudio Blek, Irene van der Land. She swam the double before me. And we have a long story, because I remember I met her in one of Yugoslavia, Starigrad swim. I went with the national team to swim Starigrad swim just the year before the double. And I told her there is a trial in Egypt and I am planning to go through it. She said, I swim the double. I told her it's not big deal. I will do the double. She said, well, I doubt it. Saying is not like doing it. So also it started to be a challenge. She challenged me. I remember that year she came to Suez Canal and I coached Irene van der Land in Suez Canal, and Monique was actually her competition. And she beat Monique that competition, I remember. And she said, well, you have to know something, Osama. It's whatever you say, it's not whatever you do. You always can say, I can do this, but you never know what you're gonna see. The two-way is no joke. It's a serious stuff and it's a serious challenge. So I was lucky.
Osama, we're going to have to end the interview. I just have one question for you. One last question.
Sir. Yes.
From 1982 until today, have you ever eaten anything that tasted better than those two sandwiches?
No. I have to tell you. I mean, and it was the most delicious two sandwiches in my history. Yeah, but I keep swimming the master. I swim old master. I swimming the master championship, European championship, world championship. I swim 100, 200 fly, 400 IM. Swimming for me is endless, and the age for me is just a number. And I'm swimming till my last breath, I think.
Thank you very much, Osama.
Thank you then very much. And thank you, Steve. And I hope to see you and watch more of legendary marathon swimmers. Thank you very much.